So I've had my first week on older dating. It's been interesting, some highs, some lows. And fairly quickly, I found a message from a guy who sounded very interesting. I had a look at his profile, which read very nicely, a few common interests. His photographs were very pleasant, and I thought, he does look very nice. So I contacted him back and then waited with anticipation of his return email. But fairly quickly, after only a few messages between us, he asked if I had an email address, which I said I did have. And he told me that he preferred to concentrate on one person. He really wasn't interested in building up his social life, finding new friends. And he felt it was much better just to have a one-to-one on an email rather than on the dating site facilities. I guess because I'm quite new to this, I thought, oh yeah, that's fair enough. But I didn't give him my email address straight away. So we carried on for a couple of times more. He then asked me if I was on WhatsApp. What was the other one? Oh, I can't remember. It just slipped my mind. WhatsApp. Oh, and Skype. I said I wasn't. By then, I was beginning to think, why do you want this? Why can't we just carry on the site? I read some online safety advice, which I'd got through an email, and one of the suggestions was to set up a fresh email, not disclosing any of your personal details, so that there's no way that the person on the other end would know who you are. So I decided to do that. However, I made an error in that I did create a new email address, but in setting it up, I did put my surname down as a new account, not realising that that would also be part of the whole email address. So, of course, I sent it off and then realised what I'd done, that I had actually disclosed my surname. We started to send emails to each other straight away, and the first one that I got from him was quite lengthy, saying, okay, well, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Charlie Bannister. I live in Kent, and gave me a little bit of general detail. And then he told me that he had been widowed a couple of years ago, that his wife and daughter had died in a horrific car accident. The information about his wife and daughter, it did make me feel very sympathetic towards him, and what a terrible tragedy for somebody to have to go through. And he also told me about his work, which he said he was very passionate about. It was with a charitable organisation called UN Aid, and his work was of a medical capacity. And he came into contact with people that were having a very, very difficult time. So again, the whole sort of aura of the email was one of, from my point of view, a lot of sympathy, and what a thing for somebody to have to go through. When he told me about his wife and daughter, I did think it was quite a big thing to tell somebody in the very first email that you send to somebody. After a couple more email exchanges, which were very nice, very pleasant. I still liked him, and in fact he had attached to one of the emails 5 further photographs of himself. One was with his daughter. They were all very nice photographs. I emailed back saying, thank you for the photographs, they're all very nice. When I saw the one of you with your daughter, I just thought, wow, what a terrible thing to have to go through, and it made me think of my own daughter, who was a similar age. He then asked again about the whether I went on to WhatsApp or Skype. I hesitated slightly because I did think that's just another little bit of information, but as silly as it sounds, I didn't want to offend him because he'd been sending me these very open emails, making me feel quite nice about him, about myself. So I agreed, and we started to do the WhatsApp messaging. He did say one of the reasons why he wanted to do WhatsApp was because he had a lot of questions he wanted to ask me, And if we're on WhatsApp, it's instant. He asks a question, he's going to get an answer straight back. He asked me about previous relationships, why they ended, not what happened, but did I learn anything from them, which I thought was a bit odd. Answered those questions. He asked about hobbies. Did I live alone? I didn't actually answer that one. I just ignored it, and I just said that what my hobbies were. He asked if I had any pets, that sort of thing, and then I answered those, and then a couple of messages after that, he threw in a darling, which I got it, and I thought, what? What's this? So at that point, I chose to ignore it. I just thought, well, I'm just going to see what happens here. But then, almost every communication, it started off, hello, darling, I'm here for you, darling. So I did say to him, I've never been called darling so quickly into a relationship. To which he replied, it's more romantic, it's more special. And I said, and what did I say? Let me get this right. I said, well, yes, I suppose darling is quite a romantic word, and just left it at that. So I did feel a little bit uncomfortable about him calling me darling all the time, and good night, darling. I look forward to talking to you in the morning, and then I'd have a good morning, darling message on the WhatsApp. And at that point, I went round to my daughter and said, is this normal? This man is saying this, that and the other, and we hardly know each other. And she made a good point that perhaps that's just his normal way of being with people, because some people do use fairly affectionate terms. But I wasn't altogether comfortable with it. She did then say, well, you need to just say to him, stop calling me darling, or, you don't want to be called darling at this stage. Which again, I sort of listened to, but inwardly I was saying, I can't say that, I'll offend him. This poor man, he's been through all this stuff, and I'm going to start saying, no, don't, you mustn't do this, you mustn't do that. He had said, in that first introductory email, introducing himself, he said he was born in France, he had a English father and a French mother, and that he was still trying to get a good command of the English language, which I didn't really think much about at the time. I thought, okay then, but I thought he was doing a pretty good job. There were a couple of little things that he got the tenses round the wrong way, or he just used slightly the wrong word. But I just let it go, and I didn't really think much more about it. But as time was going on, he was getting a lot more intense. He then told me that he might be looking to retire quite soon, or partial retirement. So I, as anybody would, just said, oh, when is that going to be, and what will you do with your time? So there was quite a little gap actually before he got back to me on that one. But his first words were, well, I shall be spending my time with you and my charitable work. Well, when I read that, I thought, no, that this isn't right. This is strange. How he hadn't asked to meet me, he hadn't phoned up, because he obviously had my phone number because I'd given it as part of my details. I thought, that's madness, this man wanting to spend time with me, and he's not even met me yet. And I said to him, you seem to have made up your mind, and you seem to be very sure about me when you hardly know me. He said, well, I don't need to know you. I know all I need to know about you. I know that women sometimes want to know more, but I go with my heart, and I know what I want. So I think I just ignored that one and left a bit of a gap. Said the phone was ringing, had to go and answer it, and I never got back to him that evening. Having had this exchange of WhatsApp with him about spending his time with me when he doesn't even know me, I went straight round to my daughters again, saying, this has happened, he's saying this, he's saying that, it's just not adding up. Because one of the other things that I'd said, I had asked him, he'd said about being born in France and needing to get a better command of the English language. That made me feel that he'd not long been over here. I asked him the question, and he said, oh no, I left when I was 7 years old. My father wanted me, I was an only child, and my father wanted me to be educated in England. And then I thought, well, that doesn't add up. If you've been over here since you've been 7, educated in an English system, then why would you be saying you needed a better command of the language? So I went back onto WhatsApp, waited for his next message. Again, it was, we missed each other at the end of yesterday evening. How has your day been, darling? I've missed talking to you. And I was getting quite nervous at that point. And I shouldn't be feeling like that. If I felt this was okay, then I shouldn't be feeling like this. I was also getting very worried about the fact that I'd revealed my surname. And I think my daughter got a bit cross with me because I said, well, he'll be able to trace me. He'll look at 192.com and he'll find where I live and he'll be coming around hammering on the door. But, you know, she said, no, that's not going to happen. But if you're really not comfortable with this, you've just got to finish it. Which I knew I had to do. But again, I thought, oh, gosh, what am I going to say to this man? You know, I felt I would offend him, I'd upset him, which I didn't want to do. So he came online, on WhatsApp, and said, oh, hello, darling, you know, how's your day been? So I waited a few minutes and I sent a message back saying that it had been nice getting to know him, but I didn't feel that the attraction was there for me. I was very sorry about it, but I didn't want to lead him on. That's just not the way I am. And I felt that it was best just to draw things to a close. So I was anxiously awaiting his reply, thinking, oh gosh, what's he going to be saying? And then to my surprise, his reply was, all right, but I need to ask you a favour. So I looked at the message and I thought, there's definitely something up here and I've got a funny feeling I know what your favour's going to be. And all I said was, what is the favour? Again, quite a lot of minutes went by before he replied. Asked me, he told me that the emergency situation was such that the dispatch papers were in and that he had to go overseas. But he had no funds in his account. And the travel agent, and he actually gave the name of the travel agency, probably to try and make it feel a bit more genuine, had said that they couldn't book his flight unless the money was paid over. He was asking me if I would fund this flight. So I read the message and I thought, at that point, I put in my own emergency call to my daughter and read out what he had said in his message. And she obviously said, no, this is an absolute scam, you know, just finish with it. And you'll have to block your emails, etc. But I'll come to that in a moment. So I just sent a message back saying, that's unfortunate. He then sent a very, I've done everything for humanity. I just want to do good to the world and I'm being stopped by this. Life is so unfair. All I'm trying to do is make people feel better. I give my all to this and this is how I'm treated. This is how the world treats me back. When I read that, I just sent one back saying, I cannot help you. He sent one back just saying, okay, thanks. By this time I was thinking, oh my goodness me, you know, I can't believe this has happened. But I mean, what a lesson to learn. Having had that experience, it hasn't put me off. It's obviously made me more aware. And in fact, it's had a good positive effect because I am now more, not cautious, but a little bit more aware of language and being used and people requesting for immediate alternative methods of communication. It hasn't put me off. I've done a lot of searching in my local area. I've sent some personal emails rather than just the introductory messages you can send a lot of people. Quite a few winks. If I get a wink, I actually say thank you for it rather than just leave it. And I am continuing with trying to find that sort of special person that will bring some happiness into my life. But I will be careful.